Hello everyone, welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickway Creators. Today we have Ms. Hrideja Shah with us. Hrideja Shah is a dual qualified attorney from India and California. She graduated with BA LL.B from Jindal Global Law School and a Master of Law with a specialization in business law from University of California. And she received high honors in venture capital finance. She is also the founder of Legal Scholars, a blog on private equity and venture capital laws. She helped law students across the world to improve legal research and writing and provides mentoring guidance through the mentorship program. Thank you so much for joining us, Hrideja. We are pleased to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me today, and I'm really excited for our talk today.
Wonderful. So before going ahead, if you can just give us a brief about your personal and professional journey.
Well, I've been brought up in India, so I've done most of my schooling in India. And just like you introduced, right after finishing high school, I joined Jindal Law School, and I finished my undergraduate degree from Jindal, and thereafter pursued Masters of Law from Berkeley, California. So that's like a very straight ride from like throughout life, like just study, and got done with law school, got done with masters. So that's pretty much like how my professional life has been, just studying over. Because even after graduating from Berkeley, California, I had to study for the bar exam, the California bar exam, which wasn't an easy ride again. And I did fail in my first attempt. So I had to restudy when I took it again. So that's sort of been my professional life. And personally, for me, law has always been something that I always looked up to, because um, I've always seen my father, who's also a lawyer, and like they'd have this dinner table discussions that were always based on law. So I think my inspiration to become a lawyer pretty much came from there. And I used to enjoy playing sports a lot, but I think with time and with workload, I think that just has reduced. And now you just go to the gym or just go for a run to just take care of your health. And that's pretty much what I have left with personal life now.
That's lovely. So you had a great journey so far. So if you can just tell us a story where you were able to create an impact on one of your clients' life with your expertise and your legal knowledge.
This was very early in my career, and this was right after graduating from Berkeley. Because I was an international student and I didn't really have work experience, it was a, it was really difficult getting a job, especially like when you're an international student. And not a lot of law firms would actually give you a job if you don't have work experience. So I started off with a legal aid because my main idea was that I want to know about the US legal system before I move and plunge into claiming that, oh, I've studied US law, so I know about the US legal system. I actually wanted to understand how it is. So I joined a legal aid society in Northern California, and I started working as a law clerk because without California bar, you can't work as an attorney.
Right.
So this was probably 2018 October, almost 2 years ago now.
All right.
And my first duties were sitting with the attorney and learning how to do client counseling, because I worked in the domestic violence unit. So you would deal with a lot of cases where you would need to have that empathy, you would need to have that sort of calmness to actually sit and help your client, or sit and help the person who's just come to just tell you their story, and not let them know that legally there's nothing you can do. You still had to work through it. So this client again, after like 2 months of being there, one day, like, the attorney and the supervising attorney, they both had courts to attend. So they left me with in charge of the entire unit, and they knew that I could do client counseling because I had been doing few of those before that. So I was left with the only person in that department who will be taking on client counseling, who will be taking on notes, who will be interviewing all the clients, had come in with a particular different circumstance that when you know, when you read, when you listen to a particular person, you just know that legally this just fits into the law. Like this is just like the definition of law that is being presented to you. So right after client counseling, I knew the courts were closing that day around 4:30. So within 2 hours of actually taking her in, doing the counseling, interviewing other clients apart from her who were already there, I actually had managed to write her declaration, fill out the forms for her. I got a hold of the supervising attorney on the phone, and I explained her the entire case. I told her this is the definition that we've been looking at, and according to me, this actually does fit in, and this is how it fits in. I collected every single material that I had, and I actually managed to get her case across the law clerk in the court before 4:30 p.m. And I think that was one of the best moments in my life, knowing that even though there was very little that had to be done, I still got it done within a time frame that was almost not possible. Because I just drafting up that entire declaration plus collecting all the materials to attach to the declaration takes a lot of time. Usually we take like a day to actually do that work, and then it goes on to the next day. So almost 2 days to file a particular declaration in the court. So that was the first time I actually experienced that, because before that the attorney and the supervising attorney were always there. So it was
Right.
never on me to decide something. All I had to do was do client counseling, learn how the process works, learn how the drafting works. A very typical law clerk job that you would find.
Right.
So that was the first day wherein I was the only one present in the clinic, and I was the only one that all the clients were being referred to. And that one particular day, I actually learned how to juggle every single thing, from client counseling to drafting to getting things done.
That's
One of the
wonderful.
best experiences, like I've said. Like, it's not the fact that I did something, it's the fact that the emotions the client went through when she was told that your case has been filed, and don't worry, now you will get a restraining order soon and you won't have to suffer. That's when you can see that there is something that you've done. It's just the words that the client tells you is what
Right.
makes you feel like really good.
Yeah, if your client is happy, I think that is the wonderful moment. That is a wonderful experience. Coming back to the next question. So, what made you choose in areas such as venture capital finance or working with emerging companies as your career path?
So throughout Jindal, I actually did a lot of different kind of subjects, and I did study corporate law, but it was always like corporate law and one more area of law that I would actually like to go into as a career path. And it seemed right for me to actually study further before I decided, because I knew that I wanted to know more about corporate law. So I decided to join Berkeley, and that was in fact the only law school that I applied for LLM. Had I not gotten admission in Berkeley, my backup plan was to literally just join a law firm and start working directly rather than studying more and finding out what my passion lied in within corporate law. And I joined Berkeley, and I had a friend who actually took up corporate finance as a course. And we were just sitting around in the cafeteria, and she asked me to help and said, could you just look at it? I know you haven't done the course, but if I explain you a bit, can you just try and help me out? I have my submission today. And I said, oh yeah, of course. I mean, I'm available right now, and it'd be nice to see what this course is about. I actually worked with her. I enjoyed it a bit, and I took up venture capital financing and corporate finance the next semester. And that's how I found out that I was really passionate about this particular subject, because I performed really well. I got high honors in venture financing. Um, I just naturally understood how the work is done. It was easy for me to pick up, even working on cap tables to forming a cap table to doing anti-dilution methods on a cap table. It was just natural and very easy for me. So that's how I decided, okay, this is what my passion lies in, because I'm truly enjoying the work, and not for a second do I feel like I can't do this. It's a very funny story as to how one finds their career path, and for me it just happens that I'm actually helped out a friend, and that's how I was like, oh, that's an interesting subject. Maybe I should study it while I'm here. And
Right.
finding that career path is actually, it's one of the best decisions I ever made.
Being a young professional, do you think, because now I'm coming back to a very hot topic, it's COVID-19 and everyone is affected with this. So, as a young professional, do you think COVID has affected your career trajectory and how did you tackle it?
Absolutely. I mean, I should have been back in US, but I'm here in India because of the pandemic currently. And it definitely has impacted my career a lot. There were a lot of things that I actually had to achieve that I haven't yet done. There were a lot of aspirations that I had. Like, for example, I actually wanted to take the New York bar by this July. But because I was in India, I knew it was impossible for me to travel back. And I didn't want to take the exam from home and do it in a very stressful environment when everything was not, we didn't even know if it would actually work out. So that is,
Yeah.
it has definitely affected my career in small tiny ways that could have been avoided. But the best way, I think the best way I have tackled it is by finally doing what I really wanted to do along with my career, is opening up legal solace. Because my journey, I've known what struggle is finding job as an international student after graduating with no work experience. That particular journey was extremely difficult, and I had a lot of days where I was just anxious. I was getting panic attacks. Oh my God, what if this happens? Or what if I have to go back and I still don't get a job? And I know that a lot of students are going through that because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
It's the exact same situation. The only difference is they're not an international student, they're just a student in their country. And yet they're facing this because the job market is that, because the world has become like that right now. And
Right.
I opened up Legal Solace, and that actually has turned my career trajectory upwards in a manner that I didn't really expect. For example, I run my blog on venture capital and private equity. So I regularly write about the laws. I come across certain news. I write about, oh, how this deal has taken place and how it's going to impact a particular deal, or how what are the complications that could arise. So I am learning in my own way. I actually got to finish a course that is offered by one of really well-known venture capitalists in US, and I finally got to do that course because I'd been waiting to do that course for almost past 1.5 years, but it never really fit in my structure, in my routine, because it's a 7 week course.
Right.
So you have to like pay attention and do the assignments on time. You actually work with different founders and venture capitalists throughout the world. So it's actually a teamwork assignment based. So you have to be present there. It's not one of those online courses, but an actual university course, I would say, like a crash course, again on venture financing, but from an entrepreneur perspective. So
Right.
I've actually managed to do that, and I started my mentorship program, that through which I'm actually trying to help as many students as possible and trying to make them understand that, it's just a setback and there's so much more one can do with their life. Like during the lockdown, all of us were out of work. None of us could do anything about it.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
that's when I actually managed. I'm like, I have a story to tell. I know what I've been through. It's not only the journey of finding a job, but also the journey of clearing a bar exam and how it affects you. So that's when I started working on it. That's when I decided that I would really like to tell anyone who's aspiring to actually take the exam or go abroad what it's like, what do they need to do, what are the skills required. For example, networking skills. Any lawyer who goes abroad has to know how to network, because if they don't network, it's really difficult to find a job, because over there the system works is that you become a summer associate and you get a job through that. There is no internship as such for international students. So
Right.
you have to have a reference when you apply, that this particular person I met and is referring me for the job, and that's why I'm applying, and your cover letter and resume along with it. So that is one skill that I actually learned over there rather than in India, because in India we didn't really have that concept of networking throughout law school. That was never there.
Right.
So I think the best way I've tackled it is finally bringing out my story, finally helping students. And from what I've seen, like I get a lot of messages from students who've told me, because of your methods and because of your mentorship program, I actually got this internship that I really wanted. And that has made me really happy, because I am doing something apart from my career that is really helping me out in a way, because I am networking through it, and I'm also writing my blogs as well as helping out other students.
Wonderful. So it was a great, inspiring stories you have just shared. So, because if you can just elaborate more about legal scholars and how it is helping the young professionals.
Yeah, so for legal scholars, first thing I started off with was the legal research and writing program.
Right.
So I know that a lot of countries have different way of legal writing, but legal research is something that a lot of law schools they don't teach. It's just something that you learn on your own. And when I started being more active on LinkedIn, I realized that there are a lot of students who didn't understand the concept of legal research, like what research actually entails. So that's when I decided that this is the first thing that I want to start with. So I started off with the program. I started giving them topics, that here's a topic, and I would give them guidelines that to research, first understand what the issue is, understand how you're going to deal with it, prepare an outline of what you research. Like, for example, let's say it's about convertible notes, for example, and how they are issued. Then you talk about your issue is how to issue a convertible note. So you will start with what a convertible note is. You will explain that, where it is defined. Then you go on to the procedure. Then you go on to a particular case that wherein either the issue procedure went wrong or anything about a convertible note that gives you extra information about what it is and how it's done in your particular country, right? So I started off with that, and I would give them guidelines and I would give them feedback that these are the questions that you could have asked yourself while researching. When you read a particular thing, you ask yourself and you become more curious. And that's exactly what legal field is. That's how you analyze things. That's how you actually start building yourself as a lawyer. Because if you don't question, you will always be stuck with that one, oh, this is the answer that the senior attorney gives, so it has to be true. It's never like that, because law is a field that you can argue from any angle and still be right, as long as it makes one person's sense to the other person. So that's the beauty of law, and I think that's what really is required. So that's the first thing I started off with. And from there, I realized that I couldn't be the only one doing this. So I started reaching out to my network. I started reaching out to a lot of people that I was connected with and I'd probably spoken to once or twice. And I told them that, hey, I'm starting a mentorship program and you will be basically mentoring the students about CV drafting, cover letter drafting, how to get an internship, or how to pursue a particular area of law or how to do LLM applications, for example. So that was the basic idea, that just any hurdle that a student is facing right now, a lot of students complain that, oh, I'm a first generation lawyer, so I don't really get the guidance that I want, and I don't know what I will do with my life because my law school doesn't give me enough support. I don't know who to reach out to. So I just decided to tackle that particular issue, that it doesn't matter whether you're a first generation lawyer or a fourth generation lawyer. If you need guidance, we're going to have certain people who are already working since past 2-3 years or more to give you that guidance, to tell you what is it that they could have done differently and what is it that they see that the law firms are expecting from students. So initially I started off with 10 mentors, and right now I think I have around 50 mentors who are
Wow.
like permanent. I do have a lot of other mentors, but they're like really senior attorneys who don't usually have that much time. So they would probably be available once a week in a month. So for them, I follow a very different method. But apart from that, the permanent mentors that are there, I send them emails out. I actually have this entire spreadsheet wherein there are applications. I go through the applications on weekends when I get time. And basically, I work till like 2 a.m. to because I have my own work in the morning. And then, of course, I have to make sure that Legal Scholars is also running up. So I do
Definitely.
that. And that's what the mentorship program is, to just basically get and give guidance to a law student wherever, in whichever area they want. So they would fill out the form, they would tell what they need guidance with, they would write a cover letter, so that I am sure of what actually they want. Because a lot of times they would just select everything in the form, and then you can't decide what exactly how do I assign a mentor. So that's how I
Correct.
have a cover letter for them, because they can explain in detail where exactly do they need help the most. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. And I started the blog simultaneously with the legal research and writing program, to just give an idea about how research is done and how writing is done. And that just turned into a passion, that I realized that maybe I should write about these laws a lot more, and just in general focus on being in touch with my own passion and being in touch with the area that I'm practicing. Because you always learn something new whenever you start researching. You might learn some about a law that you never knew, or about a case that you never knew was actually decided.
Perfect. So you really offered a lot to the industry as of now and to the young professionals through your new initiative. That's really a great thing. So I must ask you one last question. So what are the three core values you truly believe in?
So for me, it's integrity, being diligent, and being self-confident. So when I say self-confident, I think there's a very thin line in between being self-confident and being arrogant. So I think that's the thin line that you need to maintain. When I say self-confident, I mean that whenever you get a client, or whenever you go to the partner and he's assigned you some work or she has assigned you some work, you need to be confident enough to take on that work, but not so confident that you're just like, I'm the only one who can do this work and I am the best because I know everything about this area of law. No, you will always learn no matter where you are. Even after, I think, 20 years, there will always be something to learn. So that
That's true.
self-confidence you just need to believe in yourself, that as a lawyer, I am capable of doing this. I do have the abilities. If I am lacking somewhere, have that confidence to say that, okay, I am lacking, this is where I am lacking, but I'm happy to learn. I will research about it, I will pick up the skill, and I will still do the work. So that is one of the main uh, core values that I really believe in, that you need to be self-confident and you need to believe in yourself about what you are doing. Because if you can't follow that one principle, then you will always be afraid that, can I do this? oh, what if I do this and then it backfire, and what if I'm not able to satisfy the client and not meet the client needs? All those negative thoughts need to be set aside, because as a young professional, I think a, that's what goes through a lot of young professionals' mind, because you're just starting out in the legal industry, and now you're stepping out in the world where you actually have to show those skills. You actually have to show how hardworking you are and how much you can actually do, whether you're working in a firm or working with a litigator or just trying to do something on your own. And the reason why integrity and being diligent are the other two core values is because they go hand in hand. When you're self confident, and like I said, if a partner asks you to work on something, you need to be you need to have that integrity to tell him or her that I have never worked on a project like this before, and I am a bit confused. Could you please explain to me one more time? I would like to do it well, and just apologize for, not able to grasp the concept in the first go, and that's all right. But you need to be straightforward. You need to be honest about it. Because if you're not honest, you will never actually reach a point where you want to with your career. I think one of the main reasons why I am where I am today is because I've been honest about it. I've been honest. I've opened about the fact that I've failed. Yes, I have, and I'm okay with that. Because when you don't do that, when you're not honest with any person, I think it just ruins even a client lawyer relationship that you might have. And being diligent is, I think, something that everyone just has to be throughout their life. No matter what work you get, if you're not diligent enough, you will never actually fall into the area of, oh, he is a good lawyer or she is a good lawyer and I know she can do this. Because your clients are your marketing source. Because when you get a client and when they see, oh no, I really liked it, she really helped me out. It's the same with legal scholars, I think. Even with legal scholars, the mentorship program, when I started, I had like couple of students who signed up, and once the batch started off, a student posted that the guidance that I got from Legal Scholars mentorship program was so good and it has helped me a lot. All of a sudden, my mentee application forms went from 100 to 500 within the first week, and I had to literally close down the application form. So if you're not diligent with what you do, it's never going to work. Because I was diligent enough and because I knew that my program is going to help out the student, and I assigned a mentor accordingly and didn't just randomly do it, I actually got the advantage of the student just marketing it for me. So I
Perfect.
think those are the three core values.
So listening all your answers throughout the interview, I must say you are very experienced, you are innovative thinker, and you have contributed so much so far for the young professionals through your platform. So it was a great session, and thank you so much for sharing such a great journey with us. And we look forward to have a chat with you again in future.
Hopefully I will be able to do a lot more for the legal community, whether it's through being a lawyer or just through my experiences.
For our viewers, if you like this chat, please like and share this video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to appreciate what we do and have more coming from the industry leaders. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Abhishek for Let's Talk World.